This stream is live during the 2023 WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes. Without the labor of the writers and actors currently on strike, the content being covered here wouldn't exist. Stay Bombad.
Partying is cool. Dying is not. And we're setting all kinds of records tonight, but tonight is about, hey, how you doing? There are no borders, there are no prime ministers, there are no presidents. There's only one nation, that's Kids Nation. There's only one rock and roll national anthem. Rock and roll all night, party every day.
I am hooked. Binge watching The Mandalorian. Oh my God.
Easy with that.
Unbelievable.
Take it easy.
It's on Disney. Check it out for yourself. I actually think it's better than the Star Wars movies. Just great.
Had a little bit of money, so the Lord did me good. Got all kind of shit. Got the glow sticks, I got the gotcha bag, got the Hawaiian punch. Man, everybody won't holler at Pop what you need. I got it. If I ain't got it, I can find it, you understand? I'm selling glow sticks. Glow sticks to go with the yeah. You know what I'm saying?
こんにちは。ボンバットファミリーと私たちのライブ放送へようこそ。私たちはあなたの視聴とリスニングの喜びのための素晴らしいショーを持っています。今あなたのホストスコッティ・ジェイロとジェリー・ケーブルにステイ・ボンバードを楽しんで覚えておいてください。
Welcome to the Bombadcast.
Guys, I don't know what's going on. I'm okay. I was just told some wild news. Bombadcast, thanks everyone for joining. If you haven't yet, we do this every Thursday, but we got to get to some serious business. I've been researching something. Like, I've got chills right now. And it's freaking me out. I have to bring my guest on in a second, but from what I've been reading, Star Wars is like fucked. It's like ruined. And like, I don't know what to do about this. It literally, so look right here. I got to zoom in because it's so small. God, look at this. Is Star Wars declining in popularity? It says, however, since Disney's acquisition of Star Wars, the franchise has experienced a significant decline in quality and popularity. Fans and critics alike have pointed to the variety of factors that have contributed to its decline. It's Disney's approach to story. Oh my God, wait. Okay, apparently the sequel trilogy, it failed. There's a lack of unified story. Oh, from Rey's parentage to Snoke's origins, these plot points are devised without clear thought as to where they would eventually end up. Holy shit. Hold on, I need to bring a panel of people in. Because apparently okay, Jared, this is news to me. Apparently, kind of like from what I heard about the original trilogy, there was like no plan for the sequels.
It sounds like it. I mean, it sounds like the woke Disney shillcucks got to Star Wars and made it political and ruined
okay, hold
it.
on.
They ruined the entire thing.
Alden, is this news to you too?
Look, I heard what you guys were saying, and then I checked my mail, and they sent me these books, and
What
they
is
say
it?
that they're best-selling books. But if it's ruined, how could I have gotten 2 best-selling books? This is weird. We need someone else. We need someone else.
Okay, hold on. What have you seen?
We need someone who
recently,
can read.
Michael?
We need someone who can read.
Okay,
Yeah.
hold on. Okay,
100%.
Okay.
Is it ruined, Michael? From what you've been looking at and like reporting on and doing, is it ruined?
Well, look, you guys know me. You guys know I have my scoops, okay?
Okay.
Multiple sources have confirmed that Star Wars is ruined forever. And they've been reporting this for years.
Okay, so apparently, from what I'm reading, people are getting tired of it. It says Star Wars is a long-running franchise that experienced many ups and downs, leading some fans to become tired of the franchise.
Interesting. But look, hold on, though, you guys.
What?
Okay, so like there was that guy who was testifying about the aliens. Like, this might go all the way to the top because I read that they had like billion-dollar hits and like Emmy awards and like 2 successful theme parks and all that. And
That
if it's
doesn't sound right.
ruined, that has to all not be true.
That's interesting because I also heard that they launched a streaming service with a Star Wars show, and it is one of like the most viewed shows of all time. But it's, from what I've been reading, it's ruined though, guys. I don't.
Oh man.
It sounds.
Hold on,
It
wait.
just sounds like they like ruined a bunch of characters too, like the main characters of all of the
Right.
shows
Right.
keep taking a back seat because there's other characters in the shows.
What?
Wait a minute, guys.
Oh God.
We've been like, if Disney ruined it, why have we still been talking about it nonstop for 8 years?
Hold
What?
on.
Wait a minute.
Have we?
When did this?
I think
when did,
so.
Okay, when did Disney buy? When did Disney buy Star Wars? That's the big question.
Maybe it was
couldn't have been
2012, I want to say.
11 years ago, and we're wow. Maybe
It's been
not
dying
doing so
very,
bad.
very slowly.
Yeah, and
But they
this is-
ruined it really early.
They
Oh.
did ruin it early.
Let's go to YouTube. Let's see what YouTube
Yeah.
has to say because
Okay.
YouTube is usually have got the best
Objective.
like,
Hey,
commentary.
I know the best. Listen, I get all of my entertainment news from Dictor Van Doomcock,
Mm.
Ooh,
and
who's that?
his sources at Lucasfilm have been telling me
Okay, wait, does he have
Oh,
multiple
fucking
sources?
years, multiple sources. All of his spies at Lucasfilm have been telling me for upwards of like about maybe 5 or 6 years now that Lucasfilm is going to fire Kathleen Kennedy, and that she's actually going to be hanged at The Hague for war crimes.
So hold on, wait, Jared.
Look at all this.
I hear you though. These people have a lot of views: 470,000, 34,000, 1.6 million. I mean, the people have spoken, dude. Look, this is
You can't trust Den of Nerds. You can't trust Den of Nerds because they have me blocked on Twitter.
Hold on. Scroll a little bit. Look at this one.
Which one?
This one with Kathleen Kennedy looking like a Sith Lord. Does that?
Whoa.
This might be a cult as well.
What
I
went
just-
wrong?
That's
Wow.
empirical evidence. That's empirical evidence.
And
This
so
is
she
crazy.
ruined it. It's her. It's her fault.
This is crazy.
Didn't she make ET and make like
No,
And,
she
like,
got
a bun-
coffee. All she did was get everybody coffee. Don't look into any interviews that Steven Spielberg has ever
Don't
given about her.
ever look at her resume.
Let me look up what has Kathleen Kennedy done. Let's
Yeah,
just,
let's,
just to
let's
get
look at
an
her
idea.
resume.
Lies.
I see
That's
when
what
she-
she's
Click
done.
that. Click Wikipedia and scroll to filmography.
Okay, let's
Do
see.
that.
Because
Well, is Wikipedia even accurate? Like, I can't use it at school.
so she
Look
was
at-
a producer
Wow.
on. I'll read the list: Gremlins, E.T., The Color Purple, Money Pit, Back to the Future, Goonies, Empire of the Sun, Fandango, Always, An American Tale, Arachnophobia, Batteries Not Included, Hook. These are all movies my dad loves. Like Who Framed Roger Rabbit,
Wow.
Jurassic Park. I don't think I've heard of half of these. Back to the Future 2, Alive, Dad, Milk Money, Tummy Trouble, The Indian in the Cupboard.
I can tell you this:
Congo?
I get Tommy trouble when I watch Kathleen Kennedy's Woke Wars.
Oh my god!
Oh
I
my
don't know
god,
what
dude.
any of these movies are.
She worked on a movie called Schindler's List. That's about killing Jews. That's messed up.
That's like what they did to Star Wars.
Oh my god, yeah. She worked on Balto. That's the one I've heard of before. War Horse.
She worked out We're Back, a dinosaur story.
Oh, I love that movie.
That's a good one. Hold on, wait. So she's in charge of Lucasfilm. She also produced The Force Awakens. How much money did this movie make?
I don't know, but I didn't. But she's
Jared,
a
hold
producer,
on.
but she writes them all. She writes all the bad ones, and then
This-
the men write all the good ones.
This one made $2 billion though. $2.1 billion.
American dollars?
That's not true.
Yeah.
It was woke. That's
Okay,
not
hold
true.
on.
It was woke.
Let's see Rogue One. How much did? Oh, this one made $1 billion. Oh,
Darth
weird.
Vader
Okay.
was in it. Darth Vader
Okay,
was
so
in
it made less, so that means it was bad because everything was ruined. Everyone realized it was ruined.
But
Well,
this
this was-
Last Jedi made
That was
1.3
Ruin Johnson.
billion.
That was that Ruin Johnson guy. That's the
1.3.
creator of Jake Skywalker.
Okay, hold on. Solo start. We'll get to this one later. The Rise of Skywalker. Let's see what this one was. A 1 billion.
Another billion.
Indiana Jones. What's this one?
They're cooking the books.
Oh, I'm just so confused. Like, did she work on? Oh my gosh, dude, she worked on The Mandalorian. What the fuck? That was
No, they just said she did. They
But
just
that was the
said she
first
did.
time-
She didn't
that was
work
the
on
first
Mandalorian
time-
until season 3 when she
That was
did
the first
Book of
time they
Boba Fett.
saved it. That was the first time they saved it.
That's right.
Was
Yeah.
The
Right,
Mandalorian.
because she had been kicked off at this. I remember multiple sources had talked about this.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah.
Okay, so she worked on that. She worked on the Book of Boba Fett.
Well, yeah,
Which of
because
that-
she wrote it because she
but-
made
oh,
Jon
wait.
Favreau. She made Jon Favreau ruin it.
But no, they had that part where they got young Luke Skywalker and he trained Baby Yoda.
Yeah, well,
And
that
that
was
was
them, That was the
cool.
beginning of them
So
decanonizing
look,
the sequel trilogy.
look at this right here, producer. They Mandalorian, they saved it. Then Book of Boba Fett, they ruined it. Then Obi-Wan Kenobi, they saved it for like the first 2 episodes at Celebration, but then they ruined it. Then Light and Magic is
because of
educational.
Reva.
No one
Yeah,
cares about
she
that.
makes educational. And then this
Andor,
show,
they saved it again.
Dude, I've
forever,
heard. I haven't watched
until
it yet.
right now.
No, I heard
But I
Andor
heard-
was woke too, though.
No. I've heard it saved Star Wars. I'm serious.
Multiple sources
How?
are very conflicted about all
Darth
of
Vader
this, from
wasn't
what I
in it.
hear.
Mm. Well.
Well, then there's other things that haven't. I heard this one was a flop, though, guys. I heard this.
I've
was-
never heard of it, and I couldn't find it on there.
Yeah. It's not even on Disney Plus. It's crazy.
Can we talk about something? It's upsetting, but like, it seems like it's doing fine.
What do you mean?
What?
What do you mean Star Wars is still a tent pole in modern pop culture?
Well, we've got about like 15 people watching live right now, and we all talk Star Wars like for fun.
We do?
And
I guess we do.
Most of us do. And we all have our own individual viewers who have their feelings and thoughts.
We do?
So do we think it's doing better than we think?
No. Ryan Johnson ruined it. Kathleen Kennedy ruined it.
Now, what does that mean to ruin
Jar Jar
something, Jared?
Abrams ruined it.
What does it mean to ruin something? Explain. Can you
Jar
like,
Jar
elab-
Abrams?
Jar Jar Abrams. Listen, they
Jar
did
Jar
it.
Abrams.
They did it bad, and now it's all bad now. I can't watch the movies I liked. They're bad now because
So
I
wait,
didn't like the one. So
Are
now
you
they're all
telling
bad.
me? Are you telling me the ones that we all grew up with, like the prequels that were so great and like flawless?
Oh my god!
And everyone loved them,
Hello
universal.
there, high ground, bigger fish.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Do it. I don't like sand. This party's over.
Because everyone loved everything Star Wars before the Disney acquisition. We can all agree on this. There was
That's true.
no
From 1977 to 2012, it was completely universal. Everything from A
the
New
Shangri-La of fandom.
Just it was perfect. I don't understand.
I
how
can't
we got
believe
to
we
this
went
point.
from movies that had lightsaber duels where everybody was doing dancey flips to lightsaber duels where they don't do dancey flips, and it's bad now. It's ruined.
My favorite part, I don't know if y'all remember these, but they had this really good comic run from like the 70s into like the late 80s that were like universally renowned, like perfect canon depictions of Star Wars.
That comic series did The Last Jedi first and better.
Crazy.
There was actually one called The Last Jedi.
Let's talk real quick, everyone. What we've been doing is doing what most people do.
Some not so subtle theater.
Can I just say
this might be a thinly veiled facade on all of our parts.
I just need to interrupt real quick before we go any further. And Michael can attest to this as somebody who has also listened to Knowledge Fight.
Yeah.
What we did is literally the Alex Jones show. Is just we're just gonna meander for a good
Just
10
scroll
minutes.
through things.
Yep.
Say
read
that
headlines and make up the stories.
Read headlines, kind of improv the story in there, and then do like an hour of reporting based on a meme.
Yep.
So, in all seriousness,
well,
we are all, I guess you can say, aware that there is an actual culture of people. And the two below me and Michael right now have done extensive research on this, and we'll talk about that later. But there is a culture out there, for those that don't know, that genuinely believe everything that we just said.
Like, about everything, too.
About everything.
Yeah. This is not just... This is anything you love. Star Wars, Middle Earth, Star Trek, all
Harry
comic
Potter
book fandoms, wrestling.
Especially
happens
wrestling.
Happens a lot in music. It's if it didn't go their way once, is ruined.
So
forever.
Let's talk about that word. And I know we jokingly said it earlier, but like when I say the word ruined, what comes to mind? Like genuinely, what comes to mind? Not Star Wars, just in general.
Thumbnails of women with laser eyes.
Okay, Michael, what about you?
Come back to me. I'm kind of thinking still.
Okay,
you mean like
Star Wars
like
is
gut?
my default.
You mean like gut? Like word association?
Yes.
Maybe like botched food.
Okay,
recipes.
I think of like a carpet that's been stained with like red wine. Like that's hard to get out.
SpongeBob soiled it.
Yeah,
I think
like,
like scorched earth. You know.
Okay, so like you can never get it back to the state it was once in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Irreparable damage has been done.
Okay.
You might be able to unfuck it, but it's always going to be kind of fucked.
Unfuckably doable, like Rick says.
It's not. What is it? It's not unfuckably
doable. Yes.
Incredible.
Scotty, we need to get smashed in Japan and get tramp stamps of not unfuckably doable.
Be you, Eli and Connor. No, so we're there, and I think it's very important to acknowledge that this is a word and a phrase that's used just like way too much. I don't know.
It should be something that carries gravity to it, but we've, through the internet and the overuse of hyperbolic language to drive up clicks, it's been, shall we say, overused.
Yes. Yep. And like when I think of the word ruined, I don't think of storytelling being ruined. Like I don't know a single example of art, at least for me, that I could say, oh, this was part of a bigger storyline, or this is part of a book run that simply ruins everything that came before it. Which doesn't it's not possible.
Because right out of the gate, like the biggest sticking point, and we have a loose plan for what we're going to talk about, but like the thing that I will constantly circle back to tonight, and I will probably repeat myself, is that if an entry now in the present can retroactively make you think that the ones that made you love the thing enough to show up for that current one suck now, your relationship was probably flimsy and you didn't really love it.
Beautiful. I agree.
Because I think some people, like, a lot of the like conversation of things being ruined, at least from my perspective, a lot of it comes down to things in like the canon and whatnot. And to me, that's always been kind of silly, because the value I place in these stories is the emotional value it has when it resonates with me. It's not what some corporation says, these are the canonical events of a fictional universe. I don't give a shit. Like, that's why I can still enjoy Legends books. I listen through Darth Plagueis once a year. And even though that story is not canon, I don't care. It's a good story, and I.
And when they
it.
got when they decanonized it, quote unquote, did it ruin it for you?
No. It literally did not change my
slightest.
perspective on that book even a little bit.
If tomorrow they announced a canon book called Darth Plagueis that was radically different, is that book
still
going to
be
go?
great.
Is it going to go back in time and burn the copies of the original?
No,
it's
I may not agree with it, but it's not going to ruin my perspective on anything.
And that's
so far.
That's a big thing. I may not agree with it, but it's about security, intellectual and emotional security, and it's insecure to not just dislike something. You need to be objectively right in your dislike.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing, like it's like you could just say, like, again, somebody joked about it in the comments already with Eli, and like we joke about it all the time, but like with Andor, you had a lot of people like, it's not just it's my favorite, it's objectively the best.
Yes.
And the other ones are not as good and they're stupid. And that happens in music all the time. Like, you know, like this artist fell off here. These albums suck and these albums are good because those are the ones they like.
Yeah.
It's just a way of feeling like I'm valid. This is all very much based in ego.
I think somebody can betray a level of like vapid faux intellectualism the moment they start throwing words around like objective.
Yeah.
When with regards to art, like, not that we have time to indict Ben Shapiro for any political beliefs tonight.
Yeah.
Because we don't have that kind of time. This is a Star Wars podcast, but like you have somebody, but with him, you have somebody who like is their entire brand is built on being this like hyper intellectual, objective debater guy, and like you know, May the 4th, he releases like a Star Wars ranking video, and he's objectively The Rise of Skywalker is the worst Star Wars movie, and it's like, what does that mean? What do you mean objectively bad? What does that mean? You know, and you can make an argument that like we culturally know what that means. You know, that like you could say something like a movie like a The Room or like a Samurai Cop, like movies that are infamously like poorly made.
Yeah,
sure, but even then, there's this weird effect where so poorly made, people fucking love it, and it becomes a cult classic.
On a different level, it resonates with people. You know,
yeah, that's true. It's weird, like, and this is something we have to speak to just for the moment. When we were growing up with the prequels. We were kids of the prequels. And we were told, by the time I got to high school, I was told those sucked. And I shouldn't like these. And they ruined Star Wars. And I was like, I don't know if I agree with anyone on this one. Because I really think all three of those are solid movies. Yeah. And then, of course, as time went on, and those stories got fleshed out more, either through Clone Wars or through any sort of supplemental content, people now are just saying, like, oh, well, the prequels told the best story. They're better than the original and the sequel. And like, those are opinions, obviously. But what I'm getting down to is you went from having a series that the creator ruined, you know, midichlorians, Jar Jar.
Let us not forget that there was a whole documentary about it.
Literally, that's George sickening.
Stand by. Let me pull up my notes for the Phantom Menace and how we got here, because I took bulleted point notes.
Yes.
On the people versus George Lucas.
Jared, we need a statement, not a manifesto.
It's just like,
you came to the wrong guy if you don't want a manifesto.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Look at this. Look at Woodsy. I don't even know if Woodsy knows the context of this. Why else would Wallace be so love? Is it good? No, it's fun. I don't know if you realize that's Jared's like. That's Jared's shit.
No, like even then, it's not like, bringing this up, knowing everything about my Wild Wild West obsession.
Okay, good. I'm like,
have to be. There's
but
no
then
way
even then, like
accidentally.
The qualifier of fun, good. I get it. I'm not going after Woodsy, but like,
yeah.
If we were to pick that apart, if it made me feel a fun experience, is that not good?
Mm-hmm.
And you can unpack that for hours.
Oh yeah,
hours.
Yes.
There's like, you know, historical context, like the time it was made, the fact that humans and Americans especially have a very "what the fuck have you done for me lately" attitude. Where I've said it before, the best thing that will ever happen to the sequel trilogy is when the next movie comes out.
Yep,
because
I agree.
The sequels the retroactive Oh, those were actually better.
It's interesting how Star Wars and many franchise really have a cycle of whatever the new thing is, people hate it. When the prequels were new, people hated it. When the Clone Wars were new, people hated it.
Hold on.
As soon as the sequels come
I would like to address a
Clone
comment.
Wars becomes beloved, and the prequels become beloved.
I don't book this show.
Yeah, no. If you want to if you want DM me right now. I'll send you the link because I feel like you would have some.
I
good
don't book
commentary on
this. I just hang out under
I-
Scotty's desk.
Yeah, Vince McMahon over here books the show.
Alden Diaz. Blame Alden Diaz.
Diaz.
Shut the fuck up, Jared.
Hashtag
I
blame
beat you.
Alden Diaz.
Jared, I beat you 3 times in trivia. Shut the fuck up. I embarrassed you in front of your father and God. All right. So you stop it right now.
Oh Lord, no. But though it's very important to bring this up too. There is some context with other fandoms that I also struggle with, and Jared, in particular, I know you do too. This is a little bit of a different discussion, but something I want to bring up now. Can the person who made the thing ruin the thing?
Well,
I'm talking about our friend J.K. Rowling.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about our
I
friend
think
Kanye.
I think this is again a subjective issue, but I want to hear Jared's take on it.
Yeah,
for me,
Here's Jared's take on that.
Here's my take on that. I think J.K. Rowling is 100% in the fandom menace.
Hey, Laval.
I mean, she's hanging out with neo-Nazis at this point. No, so the thing with J.K. Rowling that I think is incredibly fascinating is that you have somebody who became a liberal icon. You had somebody who was like, who mastered the art of having liberal anti-fascism become like the main thrust of a book. Like, not anti-fascism to the point where it's like, hey, maybe our structures and hierarchies are deeply flawed, problematic, and vile, but just enough to go Nazis bad. And she was treated like a revolutionary for it. The right wanted to burn her at the cross, or burn her at the stake, and the burner at the cross. You die twice. And I said, what? I said, nail her to a cross and burn her at the stake at the same time. And liberals treated her like a fucking revolutionary. And then she goes crazy and decides that she's going to make her entire career trying to destroy the lives of trans people. And then, aside from like other elements of the Harry Potter mythos being problematic on their own, the incredibly anti-Semitic goblin stuff, or house elf, or whatever the fuck, the house elf and the goblin stuff, both. All of that, like, you can dissect like something being problematic and, being written from a perspective that was not fully understood at the time.
Yeah.
And that it exists kind of in tandem with and parallel to the whole J.K. Rowling being an out of her mind turf thing. But like Michael said, it's a very subjective thing.
Yeah, the question of can it be ruined is still what are we talking about? Like, it's stock, it ruin your interest going forward, it ruin your memories of it, because that's when we start to really piece it apart. Because can anybody ruin my memories from the release of that first film and the first couple books to when she went off the deep end? No one can go back and change them, but you start to be like, I experienced that through the lens of what I did know, what there was, what she acted like at the time. With Jared and I talked off air with you guys a little bit. Like, Jared loves Kanye. I grew up on Joss Whedon. Like, Joss Whedon was one of my heroes. I wrote a paper about that guy when I was in like middle school. Like, and he ends up being like a megalomaniacal piece of shit showrunner, abusing his power, and Kanye's Kanye.
Quote unquote, there's a lot of things that I love about Hitler.
We're gonna clip that out. And it's just like,
let me get netting. Hold on.
It's really just like your mileage may vary with a lot of these things. Like, I know people that if a Michael Jackson song comes on because of the trials and shit, they will turn it off. And you know what? I respect it.
Yeah,
I will still listen to Thriller.
Yeah,
and for a recent example of something that was kind of ruined for me, quote unquote, There was Critical Role's former talk show, Talks Machina, that I was a big fan of before. In recent months, it came out that the host of that show was a very toxic person and an abuser and all sorts of vile, horrible things he did. And now those shows aren't around anymore. And even if I could watch them, I don't know if I like physically could like bring myself to do it. And like that was something, that show brought me so much joy and really like enhanced my enjoyment of the main show as well. And it influenced a lot of my sense of humor. And now but those are like so steeply rooted in like real, like heavy emotional things.
Like, real like crimes, socio-political implications. Like these are, and again, is it ruining the material? No. Could still be a good interview.
I was gonna bring that up.
That's the thing. Because the way that these petulant, whiny fucking children on the internet act about franchise media and music and things like that is acting as if it just went back in time and destroyed something. Your relationship with something being real. Like I've got a Harry Potter tattoo of the bad guys. Because at the time it was just like people getting Vader tattoos, people getting, tattoos of Megatron, or people getting tattoos of Cobra, like just a bad guy. And now it's like, oh, like I wrestle with, like, maybe I'll cover it up one day. Like, that's my relationship. It doesn't change whether or not Ralph Fiennes was good as Voldemort. Like that exists.
Yes.
So it's like Vince McMahon is one. We joke about him, but like I grew up watching wrestling. I grew up watching women's wrestling at a time where it was very, very, very much rooted in objectification, and everyone chalked it up to like it's TV characters, and like no one knew the abuses that were going on racially, sexually, based in gender, based in class, like so it crime, real crime. So it's just like there's a lot of. Is it your heart and your back and forth with it, or is it the thing? When you get into people, and this goes for Last Jedi and it goes for Rise, there are haters and lovers on both. If you got to 7 and you loved 7, and then you get to 8 and you're like, it ruined 7. It's like, it really didn't. It's about what you want.
Yeah.
It's not about what you.
And we can circle back to that later, but that was kind of something why I kind of wanted in on this episode, when Scotty was pitching it to us, is because I do have something almost sort of that perspective where I love Star Wars episode 7 and 8. I don't really care for 9 that much.
Yeah.
But that does not in any way taint my enjoyment of the previous 2.
Exactly. Yeah. And it shouldn't. And even so, like Alden was saying earlier, when this next movie comes out in 2025 or 2026, you may look back at Rise of Skywalker and be like, I just still dislike it.
Let's not get crazy.
Or you could go, shit,
it'll
like
happen.
it more. I like it more now.
The fandom the lizard brain, like goldfish memory having fandom will absolutely do that. I mean, look at the MCU. Like,
that's a huge thing to talk about.
I was going to bring that up.
Output, like I just finished recording an episode of the Nerd Academy. Like I did not like the finale of Secret Invasion, and like
neither did I. Yeah.
And kind of hand in hand with this conversation we're having, retroactively, because kind of like I was waiting for the finale to like see where things went. Secret Invasion went from being like, yeah, I'm really liking this show, to that was kind of fucking dookie now that I have the whole thing in hand. But like if you look at the MCU, there has been this like hilarious, almost like clockwork like life cycle.
It's like Revisionist.
It comes out, people are losing their minds in the theaters and are so excited. It's the greatest thing ever. And we get to like a week before home release, and out of nowhere, this is the worst thing to ever be put on a screen in a cinema ever.
Especially, I will add, since a full arc finished with the end of the 3rd phase, what was then retroactively called the Infinity Saga. Now there's this idea that 1 through 3, again, were universally beloved, and phase 4 is garbage. But then you piece apart phase 4, and it's like WandaVision, Wakanda Forever, No Way Home, like Ms. Marvel.
And then you look back at like phase 2, and it's like Thor: The Dark World, the controversial Iron Man 3.
Where, like you're telling me all, because I remember when Shang-Chi came out, People talking about crying in the theater. What a landmark moment for representation and for a new hero, and really putting it out there like, oh, they're gonna take chances on smaller properties now and everything. And now it's what was even the point of Phase 4? What was the plan? Only Loki was good.
Well, the thing with that whole like now we retroactively like to pretend that like phases 1 through 3 were this like well-oiled machine that was like all building towards one story.
Yeah.
Alden and I, last week, Alden and I, kind of celebrated, popped some virtual champagne. The 2-parter we did, The Fandom Menace and How We Got Here, turned 1 year old.
I want to bring that up today.
So much of part 1 is about this weird toxic nostalgia that like where you imagine a point in time that never existed. That you whole cloth fabricate a golden age. And like part of that, not to make it heavy and get into like the why that 2-parter exists, but like that mindset of like lionizing an era that came before is why the fandom space, Star Wars in particular, has been primed to be infiltrated by right-wing like recruitment arms. That we are so good at doing the number one most important ingredient in fascism, and that is it was so good before, but the now is bad because before was good, but now it's like, bad.
I remember go ahead, Michael.
I was just gonna say with the idea, I'm so glad you brought it up, of the fake golden age is something we see so much in this fandom when it comes to this toxic conversations that are being had, where it's like, oh, why can't it just go back to George Lucas? But you go back to 2010 and people are like, there's a whole documentary.
They made him want to quit. And as people like Pablo and Phil Shostak and others will share some from time to time, Empire got bad reviews from a lot of people. Jedi, you will still hear people say there hasn't been a good one since Empire. Jedi's okay. Like, and then the prequels are garbage. Like when we grew up, there were 3 good ones and 3 bad ones. That was the universally.
That's what we were told.
That's what we were told. And so to act now with anything like it was just roses. Like I heard left, right, and sideways. Iron Man 2 sucks. Thor 2 sucks. Incredible Hulk sucks.
Yep.
They kicked the Ant-Man movie down from one of their first couple features all the way into the end of the second phase. They were clearly shuffling things around. You look at music. I mean, Scotty, you could do a whole episode on music and like where artists fall off and where they don't, according to everybody. And it's like, you have people that say certain bands always were bad, or you get people like now Kiss. That try to Kiss. Oh, of course. Yeah.
And like, they may not make the best, most well-written music, but they're like the top selling band of all time with the most iconic look of all. Like I could show a picture of Gene's makeup and like, I'm not kidding. Probably a 6 year ago. Oh yeah, that's from that band.
20 like, studio albums, like the greatest live album ever, and it's just like the metrics are different. The desire to be contrarian comes in a lot. Like for the Marvel side of things, like Guardians 3 came out. Oh, it saved the MCU, and it's like because you didn't like Ant-Man 3, because before that was Wakanda Forever. Like, what are you talking about? Saved.
And if a year before that, it was No Way Home, which is arguably the greatest movie ever made.
Yeah, it was No Way Home, which was an achievement. People were screaming in the theater like as if we had just the moon landing just happened for the first time. Like, it's insane.
See older episodes of TNAP to watch that guy do a backflip.
See, watch this right
shout
here.
Out our one patron.
This right here, I want to bring up, and people tend to forget this. I did a thread on this one time, and I got chewed out for it by a lot of people. But people seem to forget where Star Wars was in like 2011. And I want to remind everyone, this is where it was. At one point, George had 2 things in the works. It was Star Wars Detours, which we talked to Seth Green about on Bombadcast. It is, and I've watched a couple of the episodes that leaked. It's fine. But money was getting poured into this. And getting poured into that 2012 live action show that had that most recent leak occur, the one on
the test footage,
Underworld?
Yes,
it would have been Underworld, of which they reportedly had.
And like what other Star Wars content was there at the time? A handful of books here and there,
the books
of varying quality,
and like. I'll never forget people like, oh, Disney's gonna ruin it. And then The Force Awakens came out, and I can honestly say I don't know a single person that watched The Force Awakens and did not love it.
Yeah,
Everyone
circling
let
back
that
to what we
fear-
said earlier of that revisionist history of as
Yeah.
soon as it was like coming,
They didn't
to,
hate
you
TFA
know,
until like
physical
March.
media.
Yep.
Yes.
They hated it
Yes.
in December. We had a great winter, and then New Year it was like, and then you started to hear that it was just a rehash of New Hope, which a lot of this comes down to again to media literacy, which like I'll be the one that says it because people on the internet have tried to drag me for less, so they can have this one. Some of you people are just fucking bad at watching things.
Yeah,
you're just bad at it.
I say that all the time. That is my go-to thing. And my beloved girlfriend, I'm pointing directly at you, honey, because I know you're watching in the living room.
Is bad at watching things?
No. She's ribbed me. She's very good at watching things. How dare you?
I was just wondering where you were going with that.
No. She's ribbed me for saying that sometimes about what I don't like.
It's true.
Takes on things.
My
But,
mom's bad at watching things.
I don't like. There are certain stories that like I am convinced that you are not paying attention at all. Like when if somebody's main takeaway from The Force Awakens is it is a rehash of A New Hope because
there's a
sensitive
droid
character
with
on
something.
a desert and there's
Yeah.
a droid with thing.
There's a Death Star.
There's a thing that goes boom boom. I would make the argument that The Phantom Menace is more of a rehash of A New Hope than The Force Awakens.
I would also make the argument that Force Awakens is not a rehash of New Hope. It's
The original trilogy.
It's the original trilogy done as like a song.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of is like these verses sort of ebbing and flowing. Like it has. We're not gonna do Force Awakens stuff, but like it's just media literacy is so important. And as Eli has said in the comments, like media object permanence, the ability to experience something and find like an actual connection with it that you can hold on to that isn't so easily diminished or destroyed. And it's just that's why I have great respect, controversially, because there are people that really don't like the Kelvin timeline Star Trek movies, the two JJ ones and the Justin Lin
J.J. Abrams
ones.
movies,
the J.J. Abrams ones.
George R. Abrams
In Star Trek 2009, the villain Nero, who is from what was the present of the Prime movies.
Yes.
Because that movie's not a straight reboot. It's a sequel that takes place in the past.
Mhm.
It's a clever way of doing it. Now we've had other people do it, but that was kind of the first one. Nero yells at Pike, "Don't tell me it didn't happen. I was there."
Mhm.
And I've always felt like that was a commentary on angry fans.
Oh yeah,
always.
That's exactly what it is.
Like, don't tell me it didn't happen. I was there. Like, it's like no one's fucking telling you it didn't happen.
Exactly.
You're not. We know you're not from here. Like the characters in Star Trek are like Jesus. Like we don't know what your deal is. And yeah, it's just people are too precious in the wrong way.
I wanted to bring this up too. It's like at the time, if I'm not mistaken, when Return of the Jedi came out, the Ewoks ruined Star Wars.
Mhm.
You know, and like now looking back at how silly that is, like there are people that were upset about their own like when that was still fresh and new. Like you couldn't have Ewoks. Like Star Wars was not allowed to have Ewoks. You know what I mean? And like it's so funny that to some people that's what ruined their taste of the original trilogy or of one movie of the original trilogy. Like it ruined that aspect of it. And like it's something that'll continue to go on. And we actually have a special guest that's just going to join us in a second. I'm very excited about
Real
this.
quick.
Very unexpected. Yeah.
Honey, I love you. You're wrong.
Oh, see, Ewoks did ruin Star Wars.
That's the most wrong take of all time.
Taylor, not until they started blinking.
Go watch Law and Order, Taylor. I'm sorry.
Rare Taylor L.
Don't be Miss Taylor tonight, okay?
Horrendous take. Horrendous.
We're bringing the wonderful M in. M, we can't see you, but hopefully we can hear you. Let's see.
Oh, M, you might just have to like go to your settings. Restream's weird like that. Like pick a different camera and then switch it back.
And I can't hear her either if she's talking.
The
I
dead
don't know what's
speak.
going on. And have the dead speak. No, we'll come back to you in a second, and we'll just keep you on screen. Maybe you'll get it figured out live. But no, I wanted to bring up this because this is one of the next points I wanted to make. I know I sent y'all some loose things, and we've been dancing around pretty much everything. It's been perfect. This one right here. Wouldn't you say the commentary on something being like y'all said, objectively good, you already said that, is just as bad as saying something else was ruined in the process? Like everyone,
yeah, just as harmful.
The Andor commentary, and this is like, I'm not calling you out if you love it. I didn't identify with the show as much as I would have wanted. I watched the first episode, stay with my father-in-law. I forgot how damn good it was. Still, though, it's not my favorite version of Star Wars, which is campy and very mythological. It was good, and it has its moments, but I will never say it ruined Star Wars, or it's objectively the best,
or
Star
it saved it, yeah,
or saved it
for some fate that is undefinable.
That's what I was gonna say.
The whole Andor thing, and it's funny because I accidentally went on a tirade about Andor on TNAP like 20 minutes ago. And I'm going to say all of it again. So sorry if you listen to tomorrow's show. The thing that frustrates me so much about Andor is this, like, and again, this goes to the whole like such and such is ruined rhetoric, because it's kind of like its equally frustrating cousin. This very idea that Andor is so good that it has retroactively made other stories bad. And like that whole a video essayist whom I was a fan of until he was mean to my fucking friend, doing this whole like it's unfair that Star Wars that Andor is dunking on all other Star Wars.
We're talking about Patrick Willems, by the way.
Yes, we are.
who was an unrepentant ass.
Multiple sources have actually confirmed that.
Multiple, yeah, they are reading Twitter. But no, like that whole like it's dunking on it and retroactively, like I don't know how I could ever go back to watching the Baby Yoda show. Oh yeah, I mean it's heavier, you know, and that's going to be part of the media diet conversation as well. But like I think that it is incredibly gatekeeping, and I have always said the moment I decided I was going to be somebody the moment I decided I was going to be like a part of like the fandom, like pundit space, you know,
okay, good. All right,
that like if there is one thing I will never allow to happen with my platform that I will always push back on when I see it is gatekeeping. And this whole idea of you're not a grown-up capable of appreciating adult media if you think the Baby Yoda show is better than the like dark and gritty Star Wars, you sound like a fucking Zack Snyder meat writer.
Yeah.
Like there came a point where like where a lot of people who had a habit of pearl clutching anytime something like negative happened in the fandom sounded like they were banging down the door of Warner Brothers to release the Snyder Cut. And not only is that incredibly toxic, it makes the conversations just maddeningly black and white. And again, you create this environment where it's like, well, how is the emotional connection, the much greater emotional connection I have to the Mandalorian or Obi-Wan Kenobi, somehow like less impactful because the show, because it's not as inherently rooted in the anti-fascist politics of Star Wars,
or even then, like it. Yes, I know what you're saying, but like to the greater punditry space, I guess, or the engaged participatory online fans. It's like, I'll quote two people. To quote friend and collaborator Ken Knapsack, the themes of Andor are not new. Andor is not doing anything that other Star Wars doesn't do. It's just presenting it in that prestige, slow burn, simmer, espionage drama way. And then the second thing, I'll quote Brian Ward, great graphic artist and hilarious Star Wars fan, and that Andor became Star Wars for people that are embarrassed about liking Star Wars.
Isn't that weird? And it's like
I can't just like and then it's like I could give you a fucking treatise on why that Baby Yoda show resonates with people and what it means, and but you have to meet art halfway. And a lot of this is about people don't want to meet art halfway. They want art to be for them. And there's a difference between well-meaning positive examples of art finding its people and seeing yourself in art, or wanting art to bend for it to be what you wanted. You don't go to a
you want
movie
designer TV or designer movie.
You don't go to a movie, cross your arms and say, if it doesn't do this, I'm gonna be so pissed. And that's what so many fans are doing now. And it's like it's this quote is about performing arts and acting, but there's that famous Stanislavski quote of, it should be I'm paraphrasing, but it should be about the art in yourself, not yourself in the art.
Exactly.
And how does it make you feel? Not does it check the boxes that you arbitrarily bought into? And that applies to everything that we're talking about. And that arbitrary bullshit ass fucking list of checkboxes, if not met, becomes ruined.
Yep.
And it's like, then you didn't actually love it. Like, imagine today, if you will, if you, Scotty, got up from this computer right now and you went to talk to Michael's wife, Katie, and
my favorite wife, Katie,
your favorite of the many that you have,
your first string player in your harem.
It's true. But really, like anyone out there that's like in a relationship of any kind, you are not going to love everything about that person. You're not going to love everything that person does. But if it's a zero-sum game and like they left a dish in the sink and that annoyed you, are you going to be like, it's fucking over?
You ruined
it. It's
it.
all fucking ruined. You ruined it. You're shaking her and waking her up. You ruined it. Like, these are not functioning adults. These are not. I feel like I'm Ben Affleck and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, where he's like, these are fictional characters. Like, it's just like.
There's something just so bizarre with like what you said with like the checkbox thing, where like and I will say this, and again, to paraphrase the great Ken Knapsack and Joseph Scrimshaw, like if VFX in movies is like a deal breaker for you, that's whatever. It's not as important to me, but if it's a deal breaker for you, it's a deal breaker for you, whatever. But like the amount of people who like the beginning and end of like their complaints about something like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was it looked like shit CGI. And like that's all they talk about. That is literally the crux of the argument. And it's because the CGI is bad, the MCU's been ruined now. And it's like, what does that mean? Or a better example, one that okay.
Here he goes.
I'm gonna go order some food.
I thought it and like rage. Just because Daredevil isn't actively in a confessional or doing some type of form of confession or whatever does not make Matt Murdock inherently a less interesting character because he made a joke and got laid. That is more like the Matt Murdock from the comics than what you realize. But all of you motherfuckers are so goddamn convinced you know what you're talking about because you watched the shows. Daredevil's peak. Daredevil season 3 peak.
Peak.
You quote these goddamn scenes that you don't understand and get angry because Daredevil is getting that beaten green cheeks and making jokes about it. Like this isn't the same character who showed up to a Christmas party and a sweater that said, "I'm not Daredevil."
And that's the thing.
Comics.
You can't. Can I get a single too, real quick?
Yeah.
Can I get a single?
Yeah.
I beat Jared 3 times in trivia.
Oh, you're
all
such
right. You can put me back.
You're a bad person. Person.
But really though, I get, and if any of those people though, to your point, Jared, if any of them had just said, "This lighter take is not for me," that is so fine.
Yes,
it's fine. Just say it's not for you.
It's that weird myopic.
That's what I do with
Daredevil was ruined.
Cross.
Yes, I do that with Rogue One. If Rogue One is on, I'm gonna watch it. But am I ever gonna choose it? No. Does it ruin that? Did it ruin Star Wars or ruin that era of Star Wars for me? No.
And
it's still valuable. And things you don't like still have value and contribute to things that you do like. I'm sorry. If you laughed at the Anzellans with Grogu in Mando season 3, you thank J.J. Abrams. If you like anything that has to do with Praetorian Guards, or if you liked it when Holdo met Lando in the Charles Soule comics or anything like that, you thank Ryan Johnson.
Yep.
If you thought Keller and Beck was cool, you thank the guy that played fucking Jar Jar.
Yes.
Like
Damn
these
straight.
these
And
things.
the guy who hired him.
Yes.
You
Yes.
also chased out of the fandom. But real quick with like the Daredevil MCU stuff, like still like recently there was like this like run of leaks or whatever about Daredevil Born Again that surfaced, and every single person I saw cover it was talking about like, listen guys, I was nervous about Daredevil Born Again after the jokey, silly, stupid tone that She-Hulk had, but rest assured, these leaks are guaranteeing that we're going back to the more serious tone and that
Yeah.
Daredevil won't get ruined. And it's like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean? You know, and they're like, oh yeah, Kingpin was ruined in Hawkeye. How? In what way? In what like again? Because it's like two pronged. One, why do you think he was ruined? Like for what reason do you think Wilson Fisk was like
Ruined.
not Wilson Fisk here?
Yeah.
But second of all, how? Explain to me in what way
Because
that
he fought a
retroactively
20-year-old girl. Like
Yeah.
a lot of these things don't hold up under any type of scrutiny.
Because at the end of the day, it's ruined because like there's a minority attached to this story,
And
I
it
don't
was
wanna- and I don't want
it
to
was at Christmas, and I don't want to think about jolliness because it's because for some people it's a power fantasy that they want to engage in. And if it doesn't fulfill that, it's ruined. And a lot of this, guys, just in general, with all these facets, whether it's and we didn't spend a lot of time on the I don't want anyone to think like we are brushing past the J.K. Rowlings and the Joss Whedons and the Kanye's
No.
because that's the Woody Allens and all that. Like that stuff. Again, I want to reiterate the point for anyone that's just joining us now. Your personal relationship being ruined by something real, very valid.
Yeah.
The stories being ruined because of your opinion, not valid. And that comes down to like we need to have a better conversation.
I think it is the lack. I do think there is a vacuum of like having better conversations because like I can understand somebody like using like the prequels and the OT as an example of somebody going like, I don't like how Anakin is characterized, and it kind of like it doesn't. I like Vader less now. You know, like you know what? That might be your takeaway. The issue I run into is when there is like a weird chest thumping that accompanies it. That when that again, like all of us experienced as prequel kids, that we had people around us constantly talking about how like there's 3 good Star Wars movies and this actor and this writer and director and this idea inherently ruins this story.
Well, just
just say you don't like it is that weird, like it's the weird chest thumping, where it's like, I know so many people who just do this weird, again, it's the nostalgia.
And they're all on Facebook.
It's all, yeah.
It's all comes from Facebook.
Yeah.
They're all on Facebook.
But do this whole thing about like music, like one of my favorite things that I love to like unpack and sit down with is when that at one point it was like Bohemian Rhapsody. There's one writer's credit and it's Freddie Mercury compared to, oh, look at this Beyonce song where she says the same word a bunch of times and there's 30 writers. Music is bad now because of all of these things. And it's like, okay,
I can go up on that one.
Let's talk about how anti-intellectual this take is and start with the number one problem that is, hey, dumb. Fucking how many lawsuits have happened about who actually wrote a song since Bohemian Rhapsody came out? These people, you could have sneezed in the studio next door and get a writing credit so no one gets sued over it. First of all, so that's completely different. And the infrastructure of making art is like there's these like snap judgments of like thing bad, new thing bad, old thing good, and since this new thing connected to old thing is bad, old thing bad now because old thing bad.
Not to open up like the whole like, because we could be here for 5 hours if we start talking about the masculinity of it all. But like you see that a lot, those same Facebook fucking brain dead memes of like men used to dress like this, and it's like a guy that like in a 3-piece suit and a fedora with a trench coat and a briefcase, and then it's like now they dress like this. I was gonna say like Post Malone, but yeah, you'll do fine.
I was like, Hoochie shorts and a man bun. I mean, all right.
And then it's Jared, and then they'll be like, "What the fuck happened?" Like, therefore, men are ruined because you like suits. It's like I like Suits too, but
look, I need to bring a voice of a woman in here. Hopefully, they got their things figured out. M, can we hear M?
Why does Restream want to silence?
I don't know, but we've also got another guest voice that I didn't tell you all about yet.
Oh no!
I don't know why it silences M. M.
Where is M?
One of the greatest pontificators in this space.
Where's M?
Where's M? We'll bring in the other one. We'll bring in the I would say another great orator.
We're talking about.
Oh boy!
Here we go. Let's do this.
All right.
Let's do this again.
All right, I'm gonna head out.
Eli ruined Star Wars for me.
Eli,
isn't there like an age limit after 10?
It's a monetized thing. I got to demonetize this video now.
No, he's on the West Coast.
Hold on.
Yeah,
that's
the other thing. West
Eli,
Coast
you were like 8 or 9 when Star Wars Resistance came out. So like you'll have a different perspective. Whatever. I'm just kidding. No, but in all seriousness, I want to hear your thoughts.
In all seriousness, as the creator of Andor is better than. Never mind. Anyway, so
he's confessed publicly.
He finally said it.
I did that there. No.
Yeah. Exonerated at last
after false flagging Alden.
Finally been cleared. Yes.
Well, no, Eli, your points are valid. I really want to hear them, honestly.
No, but like seriously, I've agreed with so much I've heard so far. No, a lot of this like discourse stuff, and Alden and I did a episode with about this like a few months ago. It's so incredibly valid, and like this stuff like object media object permanence, like and Star Wars has a weird history with this because of the special editions.
Mm-hmm.
But even with the special editions intact, no one's changed the Phantom Menace, at least that crazily, since it released in 1999. No one changed much at all of it. So, like, there's nothing that can be physically changed about it because nobody's done it. But if a piece of material makes you hate the Phantom Menace, like, that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Eli, the Phantom Menace is a classic film. It's like Hitchcock.
It's like Hitchcock.
so far in history away from him.
Citizen Kane for Eli.
No, it's fine.
Eli, I agree because you and I really am not being ageist. I really am not when I say this. You were younger than us when TFA came out. Do you mind telling us how old you were? Like for real?
Yeah, I was 13.
Like
no, I was 12. I was 12.
Could you imagine? Because I was 20, and I for me it was like the greatest thing in the world. It really genuinely was.
Same when I was 17.
I remember specifically thinking to myself because I knew because I got into Star Wars like only about a year or two before seeing The Force Awakens.
God, that's amazing. I love hearing this.
And I got like really deep into it, and I heard the whole like Star Wars is for 12-year-olds. So I thought to myself, I'm the exact age that I should be when viewing something like The Force Awakens. And like that's why I consider the sequels my trilogy, because they released when I was 12 and 14 and 16.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah, and so like and very much like even stuff like you know like this is also true for me, which is like definitely Andor, even though I'm with you very much on Andor, which is that it's not something I love as much as some other things, but I do find value in it. That show was releasing just as I was starting college, and that makes total perfect sense to me.
Isn't that cool? God, that's
like
cool.
It lines up so perfectly. And but then of course when Andor came along, so did the Andor is better than Book of Boba Fett discourse, which I already outed myself as the bit behind that, but whatever.
Yeah.
But it was just so appalling. Even like something like Obi-Wan Kenobi. I saw a lot of comparisons to Obi-Wan Kenobi. That show didn't get like 6 months. That show didn't get 6 months before people were already like, it's shit.
But
it's
that also has to do with the the rapidness with which we're getting new Disney Plus shows, because we're getting so much new stuff constantly. We have to move on to hitting whatever the last thing was. So
the cycle has to go faster. And you end up with and again, intellectual scrutiny, better conversation. You'll see people, very popular pundits, be like, Obi-Wan Kenobi wasn't good. Oh, why wasn't it good? Ooh, the writing. And then it's like, what about the writing? They're not prepared for that question.
No.
What about
no
it?
one is.
And you can have your opinion, but stop saying things like facts.
Yeah.
Because you didn't like them. You could just say the writing did choices that I didn't like.
On
it's
the
not
topic,
writing bad.
On the topic of Obi-Wan Kenobi, I do because I made a joke about it when we were promoting the episode tonight. The whole concept, and again, this is another thing that's very much in the same family as the such and such thing was ruined discourse. There is something that really bothers me about the it was a bait and switch. This character took a back seat. We got it with Kenobi, we got it with Mando season 3, and
infamously we got it with Boba.
We got it with Boba Fett, and for the life of me, and I've said this before, and I said it, back when Alden and I did the Fandom Menace and how we got here, that if you don't like a thing, I don't care. If you feel attacked because I am trying to understand the very strange and particular tactics of specific groups on the internet, that's a you problem. And if the shoe fits, the shoe fits.
Yeah.
That said, I don't, if you don't like a thing, I'm not assuming you're a bigot. However, I cannot wrap my brain around a way to interpret Boba Fett took a backseat in his own show because of Fennec. Obi-Wan took a backseat in his own show because of Reva. And Din took a backseat in his show because of Bo-Katan. I cannot interpret a version of that isn't just there was another character in this story.
I agree.
Who was a co-lead and happened to be a minority. There's no other interpretation of that. And again, it's this very weird myopic. I signed up for the Obi-Wan show, and he, hello there, high ground.
There was very much. I made a joke to. I think it was all in when that when book was releasing. I think it was, and I was like, I was saying do people expect there to be a camera in the corner the entire time, seeing what Obi-Wan's doing at every moment, even when the camera's not on him?
Whenever Obi-Wan's not on screen, people should be asking, "Where's Obi-Wan?"
The show's named after him, and it has to have him in it constantly.
These people. Again, in the they're bad at watching things category of indictments that I will stand by, do not read.
No.
They don't read because books, this may shock some of you, do this all the time. There are books that will be called things. And this book right here, I showed it earlier.
Compare to the Bible.
There's a book here called Path of Vengeance.
Hey, I was just thinking about that book specifically, actually.
I'm going to bring in another guest now. Once this is done,
there's never a sidewalk or a road called the Path of Vengeance in it, and it bounces around to lots of different characters, which is a really interesting thing that books do. And as Jared was joking about, while I was trying to speak, you fuck, I broke people's brains by pointing out to them on Twitter that the Book of Boba Fett was a show that will change perspectives because it was his book, which is formatting from the Bible. That is not me saying that it is the story of the Bible, even though Star Wars starts with a virgin birth. So we could go there. And people immediately, you had fuckers from podcasts why did he say that?
The Book of Boba Fett backlash to you and people who like it, I guess, was so funny because it is one of the few times that sincerely you had, and I'm not comparing them, but you had the Rise of Skywalker shot my puppy in the head crowd.
Yeah.
And the Rey Skywalker cut off Luke's balls crowd.
Yeah.
Both just
convening.
Zero in on a group of people who were I think the show's pretty nifty.
Zero in on them and be wrong.
We gotta hear this person's perspective. Hold on.
There.
Yes.
Finally.
Hi.
Restream, stop silencing.
Hi, everybody.
Canadians.
We gotta hear it now. We gotta hear it now. So you've been sitting in the back. I don't know why Eli got kicked. You've been sitting in the back of house. Sorry, I got it.
Yes.
You've been sitting in the back of house waiting for a very long time. What is your commentary on all this ruining stuff? Because everyone here has had the chance to really speak and give their thoughts, but where do you lie on this phrase and what this means to you?
Okay, firstly, thank you so much to everybody for all the love in the chat. You're very sweet. I was scared to appear on camera before because it's wash day, which is why my hair looks like this. So if you want to know what a curly girl looks like on wash day, this is it.
Looks like a babe.
Was your hair ruined by this wash versus previous washes?
No, it will only become stronger.
No. She'll buy a new brush and like, this brush ruined M's hair.
Right.
Bring back the old brush.
Exactly.
The woke media wants us to use this new brush.
So woke, all right, let's hear M speak.
Sorry. Well, I think as soon as I think it was Alden, who I unfairly maligned, by the way, public apology to Alden.
Hashtag blame Alden Diaz.
was talking about insecurity, and that really like fired me up because I feel like that's at the root of so much of people wanting to own stories. Like so much of these like negative attitudes come from the idea that the story belongs to a certain person or that a certain group of people have more of an entitlement to dictate what the authentic story is. But that fundamentally comes out of a feeling of insecurity. Like if there wasn't a feeling of insecurity, that wouldn't develop, And I think it behooves us. There's a couple of ways we can address this. I mean, for one thing, obviously, as everybody knows, I'm a fan fiction writer. I'm very deeply embedded in the fanfic community. And one of the great things about fan fiction is that it democratizes the story. It's like the story belongs to everybody. Anybody can tell the story. Anybody can take the characters and like put them in a situation, and like, and there's even degrees that happens to within fan fiction. Like there are some fandoms where doing like AUs is not popular or isn't even contemplated. Everything has to be in canon verse. And then you have other fandoms where like AUs just like go cuckoo bananas and people make up all kinds of wacky stuff, which is where I'm from. And there's no judgment on that. It's just, when you feel like you have possession of the story, people can take it to different degrees, and that's totally valid. But also it's like the idea that telling a story in a different way detracts somehow from a different way of telling the story. Like it's not like a pie. It's not like you keep taking slices away and then there's nothing left.
Interesting.
It's the story just grows. Like you're building, you're adding, you're making like a quilt. You can even see this. People do this with art, like in the literal sense, where they'll take a blank, space of certain dimensions, usually with digital art. So you have like it's a finite number of pixels, and fan artists will draw the characters, like we'll draw one scene of the characters in one part of the drawing, and then they'll pass it on to another artist, and they'll draw the same characters but in a different way, in a different space, in a different style, and I think that's a really great visual representation of what fandom creation is like. And I think that fosters a healthier attitude towards the story because it opens you up to possibility, and it means that you don't get as attached to your own speculation, and you're not as reliant on leaning on the idea that the canon story is the only valid story.
Yes.
And so then when your own ideas or your own hopes don't come to fruition, it sort of relieves, it's like a pressure valve to release that negativity, because it's like, oh, well, it's not like the story you wanted will never happen.
Exactly.
You can make it happen. You can ask someone else to write it for you. You can ask an artist to draw it for you. It's like the whole idea of the democratization of art. And then there's all these things that we can talk about how art gets gatekept in different ways. We have these we have these mechanisms in our society that tell people like, oh, you know, like this is what a real writer is, this is what a real artist is, this is what real, you know, real art. It's like, it's all real art. I'm telling you, like your kid tracing their hand and making a turkey at school at Thanksgiving, like that's art.
That is. I agree.
You know?
I find it.
Can we just take a
disturbing the amount of
second?
people who
Can we just
bump
take
up
a
against
second
that.
for all of you fuckers to like hear like what a smart person sounds like? It was very refreshing.
Yes.
Very, very refreshing.
Not like any of the three at the bottom half of your screen right now.
Because the thing is, what it comes
absolutely
down
not.
to is it's like, do you want to have happiness in your life? Do you want to have joy? You know, like, yeah, there's a time and a place to be right all the time. But like I said, like, that's math class. Like, math class is where you can be right all the time. You know?
And Alden can't do math worth a damn.
Neither can I.
That was the thing that I was gonna like. To your point, Emma, I was just gonna say like that's what I was gonna say with that's what I said with Alden in our episode when we did this. Like, it's not that I think that these methods of watching films and TV shows are better. I just think you'll enjoy it more while doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like you don't assign a value judgment to it. It's just that, you know, it's like, what do you want out of life? Like, do you want joy? Do you want happiness?
I just want to acknowledge that Jared tried to make a math joke when I've beaten him 3 times and he's beaten me 0 times. And that's that's simple math.
I must say I do find it kind of ironic that I'm having this discussion with people who are so adept at trivia, which is all about right and wrong answers. But you know what? In my view, that just shows how well-rounded everybody is, right? Because like I said, like there's a way to find fulfillment in that space of like black and white and right and wrong. And then you can switch gears and you can sort of enjoy the colorful tapestry.
I have a question. You said it.
Oh, wait.
You said
There
it.
we go.
You said
Everybody get your cash app out for Alden.
You said it.
She was circling it there for a few minutes. And
every time someone says the word tapestry, I get paid.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's a real thing that we do. And to your, you know, because you brought up the insecurity stuff that I had talked about, and you expounded upon it so beautifully. I want to volley this to you because I think you'll have a lot of stuff to say about it. Also, how much of this is fear, like tied in with the insecurity? Like, people are, even if they're not vitriolic and like, I'm right. There's fear connected to it, even in an innocent way of like, they're not comfortable with the idea of change, or they're not comfortable with the idea of like, let's pick whatever your favorite movie thing is or your favorite album. We talk about movies and TV so much, and in lieu of the strike, I'll use a music example. When your favorite, and not in lieu of the strike, in the wake of the strike, when your favorite artist is like, I'm gonna do an album that's this and it's different than the previous thing,
Daft Punk,
you get a little bit like but you have to choose to overcome that. You have to choose to set aside that fear and celebrate the fact that things can be more. And I think that there are people that really, really resist that. And I like, my favorite band of all time is My Chemical Romance, and the jump from the Black Parade in 2006 to Danger Days, The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys in 2010
are different.
Incredibly different. Like, you have like
this
emo, operatic, melodic, just dark fantasy concept album about death, and then this color pop punk electric post-apocalyptic thing with smiley faces and spray paint and all, and it was completely different, and it threw me for a loop. And I felt that, like, is this still the thing that I like? Is this still my band? Is this still for me? And the ego comes in with the insecurity, and you have to be like, well, it's not about me. And then the second thing is I have to be bold enough to allow it to speak to me or not, but you can't just write it off because it's different. And that happens so much. And then I feel like the worst instinct of that is like, well, they ruined it. And it just does not make logical sense.
So I want to bring up one thing, and by the way, just for that people that want to send money, Alden's Venmo right there. Got that queued up. Producer,
is it really?
So scan that shit, and you can actually send Alden some money.
I send
am
Alden
very
money on
curious as to what
Venmo.
that actually
I
is.
will show
Get it.
feet. I will
You
show
think
feet.
I'm joking? Y'all think I wouldn't actually do this?
Well,
Someone
scan the
scan.
QR
Somebody
code.
tempted fate.
There you
Someone scan-
go.
I know it's Rebecca. Rebecca,
Oh,
Rebecca, Venmo
Rebecca.
me, please.
Hi, darling.
Okay,
I'm on
so
this stream.
So I wanted to
Not
bring up
last
one
night.
thing. How do y'all feel about when things like this happen? Because this is a very popular thing that happened in 2021, and it's something we could definitely have a good discussion on right here. This is a thing that happened in 2021 where we had The Rise of Skywalker, it already came out, and then this came out. And we got a view into a movie that never even existed. And people claimed that now The Rise of Skywalker is ruined because of what we could have gotten.
And the whole trilogy. And the whole saga, for that
The whole
matter.
saga, yes.
Because it
yes.
was part 9. This would have been the true ending of the...
Yeah.
To those people, I say this.
It was a script and concept art.
To those people, I say this. Concept art is not a movie, number one. And some of it is gorgeous. I do love some of that art.
Yeah.
2, my personal opinion of the script aside, hypotheticals are great, but they're hypotheticals. Like I don't understand what else to do for those people outside of try to explain to them. And again, you after a while you sound like a fucking asshole because it's like I don't understand how to explain to you what development is. I don't know how to explain to you what the process is. I don't know how to explain to you what a hypothetical is. I don't know how to explain to you how art changes. There's so much I don't know how to explain. And again, let's go down this road though. Let's say this movie gets made. Let's say Duel of the Fates, Carrie never passes, and this gets made word for word, right? I fundamentally have huge problems with stuff that happens in this not made movie.
Same.
I think that there's stuff in here that is so ass backwards that it like legitimately bugs me. But would that have changed? Would that have changed 1 through 8?
Did I miss Hux committing seppuku with Mace Windu's lightsaber yet?
Oh, let me find that one.
It's just like
one.
He lost the Star Wars.
He lost the Star Wars.
He lost the Star Wars.
Wow.
And like, would that have ruined what kind of an emotional reaction? What kind of an adult would I be if I went on the internet and was like, I didn't like Duel of the Fates, it ruined everything for me. And it's like, well, then how much did you love it before? Like Em, you were in the process of dealing with restreams bullshit, but like you're in a long-term relationship. How many years have you been in your relationship? Like married
with Sarah?
Yeah.
So we've been together since 2006 and we've been married since 2008.
2006, Eli wasn't even a twinkle in his mother's eye. So it's like 2006 you've been together.
That one. You don't know how fast I clocked that one.
I would just like to interrupt and say that I thought you were about to say Eli wasn't a twink yet, and I was like,
I was also a little concerned.
You guys.
Here we go.
So 2006. I would wager there have been at least a few days where you've been sick of each other. Maybe even this week. A few days, maybe today. But like, does that retroactively, like, that's just not, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
I know.
Then what would your relationship have been if it could be ruined by present things outside of the cataclysmic, which is why we had that sub discussion of like, there is a category where it's like, we get it if you just have to, you know, but
so to kind of circle back,
everyone thought I was going to say twink, by the way. And I don't understand. And I just want to say, I didn't invent twinkle in the eye. That's a thing people say.
I know.
Alden did not invent twinks. Let the record show.
No, Alden within a calendar year or so had to have what was it, tops and bottoms, or no, it was a bear explained.
No, it was in 2020. I think it was 2020. Yeah, I thought there was a misunderstanding of me as a straight between what constitutes topping and bottoming.
Topping and bottoming, yes.
We'll talk about that off air. It's a very funny story.
So
it's fantastic.
To circle back to something I was saying earlier about the sort of hyperbolic language that's being used, would it be apt? Would we all agree that this language has just been sort of co-opted just because of the nature of like seeking attention on the internet and like people's opinion needing to feel validated, that they have to co-opt this language that makes them sound like intellectually superior and all that, when really they just mean they didn't like a thing?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's very fair. I was actually going
Jared.
to
Just by the way, so we can
there we go.
There we go.
this
There we go.
wildly interesting shot.
It's so insane. It's crazy because like there's two versions of it. There's the one with the red lightsaber, and then there's another one with the purple. And then some of the like Duel of the Fates, like that like script treatment says like it was Mace's. Like he finds Mace Windu's lightsaber.
It wasn't Mace Windu. Oh no.
He kills himself with Mace Windu's lightsaber. Which, like, again, say what you want about Duel of the Fates. Hux dying by the blade of the first Jedi to one of the Emperor's first victims, basically in the same building, might as well be in the same room. That's cool. There's some fun symmetry there.
That's such a Jared take.
I'm like, I did not think that's where you're going with that. I'm like, that sounds
that is a take from somebody that thinks Franco's new Goblin is cool.
Yes. Oh my God. Speaking of, here's the Bombadcast new Goblin.
Hey, wait, hold up. We can start the show now.
What's wrong?
What's
Cannon Junkie
going
gonna
on?
cry?
You'll talk about what's that? What?
I'm so happy you made it.
Jerry, I'm sorry. We've been live for an hour and 25 minutes.
The fuck are you guys doing?
Wait, Scotty, throw up the logo that we were using.
Oh yes, definitely. And
What's going on? What logo? What logo?
You didn't know about
What are
this?
you talking about? What logo?
Well, we did.
What
We
are you
did.
talking
What do you mean, what
about? Is
logo?
this
The
the one
logo
I've been
Jerry
seeing?
Cable
The one
has
I've
been
been
canceled.
The one that I've been
You're out,
seeing all over
Jerry.
Twitter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Am I
block him.
fired?
That's
Out
it.
am I?
Yeah, I think people,
Out
Jerry,
am
I
I.
think
Up
people
on it.
decided you'd been ruining the Bombadcast,
Listen,
because you've been made woke. So you know.
Yes.
that's true. That's true. Listen,
Everyone-
hi, Em. I was
the
like, I'm
woke
sorry, like,
podcast.
it's so good to
Hi.
see. Like with this cast of goons, it's so nice to see Em in here. And so,
Hey Jerry, show everyone your
yes.
shirt. I got
Oh,
Jerry the
yeah,
shirt at
here we go.
Lucasfilm.
Nice.
I bought
My
Jerry
shirt.
for Lucasfilm. It's
There we
so
go.
sick. It's got the number.
my
and
kiddo-
everything.
Ella comes in and she goes, I say, look at my shirt. It's from Lucasfilm. And she goes, I don't like it. He's drinking coffee. Coffee's gross.
Gotcha.
Honest, honesty.
6-year-old.
I was like,
Gotcha.
I was like a little like, oh.
So Jerry, what is your commentary on all this idea of things being ruined, either post-release, pre-release, or even in terms of just the
Top,
commentary
bottom,
on it? Top,
all that
bottom,
kind of stuff.
twink,
Yes.
otter.
I mean, listen, so I literally just blew into my apartment from driving like an hour from where my parents are staying. And I don't know what has been said already. I don't know anything that's going on. My take on all of that is that you need to find that chaos magic center of just letting things happen and just kind of going with the flow and not being again, like I did hear, I was here in time to see M pop on and I got to listen to a little bit of what she was saying, and I talking about people taking ownership of these things that aren't theirs and everything is just it's I don't know, we just need to be there's a loosey-goosey place where, like, you can feel a certain, I think it's okay to feel a certain ownership with these characters because we see ourselves in them. But and
it's like
the moment,
but healthy, yeah.
Yeah, well, like the like me and Alden were talking about one of our, like, a new favorite show of mine, Strange New Worlds and everything. A little bit ago, we're like talking about these characters, the way they can make you think, the way they can make you feel on the inside, and that's very powerful. It's very important. That's why these stories exist. But again, you take it to such a consumeristic place, to where this is just commodities and things like that. And most of the hate mongers on YouTube are just trying to make money. They're just grifters.
Yeah.
That's all they're just trying to But anyway, that's my rambly daddy.
Jerry, actually,
for
I
that.
could actually tie that in with what Alden was saying about change and embracing change, because I think that it's so true that identifying with characters and seeing ourselves and our own emotional journeys reflected in characters is a very powerful way to connect to a story. But like, story is about change. Like that's like the heart of every story. Like, every story starts with, every day so and so did blah blah blah, but then one day everything changed. That's like a classic story structure, right? And I think that what happens to us, especially, if I may say, I think this is one of the reasons why with franchises that are especially geared towards men, where there's this problem, because men are not socially taught how to take emotional journeys. And
Hey,
to
this is
have
our
it be
Mojo
like-
Dojo Casa house. We're not allowed to say that.
Listen,
You can't insult
you shut the
us.
fuck up.
You can't
We
insult
are
us.
Knuff, but let him continue. Let him continue. Come on. Yeah. Sorry, you're welcome in this Mojo
So
Dojo
I think
Casa
what
house.
I think the dynamic that happens is that men find these stories, they identify with these characters, but then when the change starts to happen, they can't follow along, and then they feel like they're losing something. It feels like a personal loss, right? And it feels like an affront to them, because this character with which they identify, that they feel is like their avatar, is making choices that they wouldn't make for themselves, or is subject to forces that they don't understand, or that they don't have in their own lives, or is taking on struggles that they've never had to do. So I think that this is, engaging and identifying with characters is a very beautiful and powerful way to engage with art, but it's not the whole story. And I think that, when we embrace change, the change that happens in stories, and when we embrace, seeing characters go on these journeys, what we do is we expand our own emotional terrain. We expand our own, like, we can take these stories that we don't necessarily identify with, but we can find things to identify with in them by growing ourselves, and by learning more about ourselves and exploring new horizons for ourselves.
Yeah, see,
and I think
completely agree.
that's a very healthy
so-
way of engaging with
Campbellian.
story.
See,
Yeah.
you're Alden, thank you. And I was gonna say, Jerry, I know you had the most emotional attachment to Obi-Wan, and if anyone ever I knew the show Obi-Wan Kenobi, because of what the character.
Oh, it still makes me
Yeah,
cry.
like,
Right,
because of
right.
what that character went through. And then I understand, like, and we all have our own things we just deeply identify with on these very primal levels of just being a human being, but also having our own personal experiences. And sure, you may watch one thing, Star Wars, Marvel, Harry Potter related, whatever it is, and not identify with it. But it shouldn't be your whole entire personality and shtick to like shit on it constantly. Like, I know there was jokes like the Andor is better than, or there were jokes that like coming around with like,
or like I joke all the time with like Jared and Alden and Eli, mostly just jokingly being like, "Oh man, didn't the Bad Batch just ruin everything?" When really, like,
fuck
I,
you.
Fuck you,
it's
Mike.
it's
Fuck
just
you.
that I don't care for Bad Batch,
He
and
doesn't like it.
you don't see me on Twitter ranting like
Michael
about how
hates
it
children.
ruined
No.
Star Wars animation or anything.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think also part of this too in broadcasting, like, so I've talked about it sometimes, but like I don't think I've said it on Bombad. I do this for a living too, so like coming from terrestrial radio and things like that, people would get encouraged to fight. People would get encouraged to argue on air. Can we do more debate segments? Can we get more call-ins? Can we rile people up to drive ratings? Because that's easy. Conservative radio always succeeds. Liberal to left radio always fails. It's not sustainable.
There's a reason why it is the majority report and nobody else.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's just not sustainable. I remember saying, when I was still an assistant there, like, what if we used one of those like hours where we're not doing shit on a Sunday to like get a couple college students, and people are like, no one wants to spend money on that. It'll fail immediately. And that extends into digital media in terms of movies, music, whatever, where a lot of us, I'm sure everyone here has been accused at some point of shilling or like whatever, or you just like everything, and it's like, no, it's curated, because what you motherfuckers do is easy. What we do is hard. To lead with love and to focus on what you like. Like I said it here because it was in the conversation. I really didn't like the Secret Invasion finale the way it shook out. So I'm not gonna talk about it because it's like I'll just okay.
Better things to do with your time as a rational adult.
That one didn't land for me. Had like a cool fight, whatever. I'm gonna move on with my life. And then you know what I did? I hit a different show and I liked that more. And it was a very easy moment in my life. But somewhere along the way, it just became so easy to lean into the worst instinct. And I think better instincts versus worse instincts is something that I've become increasingly focused on as I've gotten older, because you always have that choice. There's always a choice between how you want to approach something, even in a dislike way. Like outside of shitting on Jared, I'll never really talk about the Snyder DC stuff online because I don't like it. But you know what I can do? Walk over to my fucking bookshelf and pick up like 20 different versions of that stuff that I do like.
Yes.
Yeah. There's this
related. Sorry.
There's this small like Star Wars creator that I don't know if any of you know. I don't have a shirt of his or anything. Anyway, and he was like and he was one of the people who introduced me to this idea. Like, if you don't like something with Star Wars, oh well, there are going to be stuff that you do like.
Yeah.
It's just that, and especially in this age, specifically when so much of it is coming out, like you know, like I mentioned before, I wasn't the hugest Andor fan of all time, but then I got up that morning and I watched not only Andor, that episode that released, but Tales, which the Sith Lord was one of the greatest things I've seen from Star Wars in quite a while. And I'm like, yeah, I'm on board with this. I'm so on board with this.
It's always something.
It's always something.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you want to say, Jared? Because we're going to wrap in the next 10 minutes or so.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to say, with the Snyder DC stuff, I'm not a big fan of the Snyder DC stuff either. But like with
lies,
that no. I am
seems like you're walking it back a little bit.
I'm on the record for having a lot of opinions about that. But
can we get Jared in 3:4 aspect ratio in black and white? Because
make no mistake, when I do fucking kill you.
But like,
just let the band speak.
But no, I do. But like the parts of those movies, I like to the point where it's like I don't obsess over the parts of those movies I hate. I enjoy Ben Affleck being a scary fucking Batman, and I enjoy watching Batman beat the brakes off of Superman, even though it's a very weird interpretation of The Dark Knight Returns. It doesn't ruin it. The other thing I wanted to bring up, though, just to kind of like, you know, Fandom Menace and how we got here, the whole concept of this like toxic nostalgia for an age that never existed is built around a deep. I'm not going to like sugarcoat it or use flowery language here. Is built around a deeply fucked up and like sincerely rooted in anti-Semitic strategy of convincing you that they are taking your culture away.
Oh, there you go.
And
yeah,
like it is. Yeah. And again, and I've been criticized for the whole like every time we talk about like anytime I talk about fandom culture, I turn it into how it's actually the Nazis ruining Star Wars fandom.
You were overcompensating. You're overcompensating for the lack of people not doing it.
Thank you.
Fairly.
I appreciate that very much. Actually, that made my heart very happy. Because somebody has to do it, and I might as well be the person with brain worms in the room. But no, I think there is. If you look at people like a Doomcock, for example, And it is
Rather not.
insane that we need to treat him like a serious like threat to online culture, but we do. Like, and it's because he's one of the few, despite having a mask on, has gone the most mask off with his rhetoric, where you have people throwing around terms like cultural Marxism. And like that is rooted in the very idea that there is an outside force here to taint and detract from the purity of like a given cultural moment. So when we have moments where like the Obi-Wan Kenobi show was ruined because Reva made Obi-Wan take a back seat, you really need to take a moment and just kind of parse through each of the claims made one by one and go, yeah, there's a really weird root here, and it's obvious what it is. Again, I'm not saying that like if you don't like a thing, or if like fucking The Last Jedi ruined Star Wars for you, I'm sorry. But I really do think that hypothetical person would gain a lot from sitting down and like really trying to understand why that is their impulse upon that story and any other newer media within franchise material can elicit that response, because it is again rooted in this weird nostalgia brain that just stagnates. It does nothing but stagnate. You know, like it is inherently based around making you angry, and it's rooted in some like weird base psychological impulses we have as humans that is often weaponized by the worst people on the planet.
Beautifully stated. It's like this whole conversation. I know we started off with a big joke at the very beginning of us being like, "Whoa, this thing's successful, therefore it's good." And also we talked about the fact that like, no, it's successful because people obviously love it, and we did obviously our own bit on it. But like, I will say like, I've never felt that in the possession of Disney, that this franchise, this thing we all obviously communally love together, is ruined, or could be ruined, or even what that word means. You know, we obviously dissected that word for almost 2 hours this evening, but like, I don't know. I really don't know what this company or the people in command could do to change my opinion on Star Wars ever. You know what I mean?
You know,
like
I think I
do, but there's one exception.
Well, I was just going to say, I was in 8th grade when the buyout happened.
Yeah.
And I remember, this is like post Avengers, you know, like the MCU was here, baby.
It was
and I remember
October of 2012.
Every conversation I had is, well, Disney's going to ruin it. And even then I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, how?
Like, first of all, explain to me what the words coming out of your mouth mean. But second of all, didn't all y'all like make the Avengers your whole personality this whole school year?
Yeah.
Like all year, this has been your personality. I don't think you understand who owns this. You heard Disney bought Star Wars and you thought that meant Mickey Mouse was going to get a lightsaber. And I'm sorry. I think there's a lot of people who are still so convinced that Disney equals kid shit and bad that they are still trying to gaslight themselves into thinking Mickey Mouse got a lightsaber.
Well, you know what's funny?
They literally are bringing out the next Deadpool.
So,
yeah, well, that's the other thing. Like the whole it's all kids stuff with like the Daredevil stuff. How many? Like, I sincerely want to like just sit down and like count how many articles have had to have been published since Deadpool 3 was like announced to be in the MCU, with how many times I had to be like, oh, and don't worry, it will be R-rated, because there's this other like weird idea that if it's not R-rated, it will be
because people just look at like whatever buzz terms come off of fucking Facebook or YouTube.
Yeah.
And that's how they end up with like, oh, well, is it going to be like this? And because kids, teenage boys want to be in so badly, whatever in means, that they're just going to go down I mean, we've all had it. Like, who amongst us has not worn a shirt of a franchise we love in public? And then someone goes, oh, you like that? And you're like butthole clenches because you're like, oh, God.
Yep.
You're like, I have to talk about it. Like, I got to.
Please. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It just.
The number of times I love Star Wars. The sequels though, and then I just like did the biggest internal facepalm I've ever. like, I'm like, no, not this shit again, please.
I need to
no.
remind everyone, and this is something that's very interesting. The whole, Jared, like you said, the Mickey Mouse lightsaber thing. I don't know if anyone was really following the points of all this. This was 2011. Like, this was before the buyout even occurred.
Well, no, but by then George had ruined his own franchise.
Yes.
And now people talk about him like a literal like martyr.
Yes.
Like again, like look at the Doom.
As if it wasn't something he willingly sold.
Yes.
And got like
because he was
and he's
tired
a
of it.
majority stockholder still in that place.
Yes.
And it's just like,
And
a lot of this
multiple,
again is
like,
because
people
people
involved.
don't research. They don't want facts. They only want to be affirmed in negativity.
For people that say facts don't care about your feelings, they don't seem to care about facts a lot.
That's it. And you know what's funny, Eli? Funny you bring that up. It's I just
Facts, Katie.
Facts, Katie. No, I just think it's very important to like acknowledge where Star Wars would be if it wasn't for the buyout. And I know I need to do a whole episode on this because at one point it was a brisk commercial. That's as far as Star Wars was going.
God,
it was Clone Wars.
Saber. I miss Brisk Saber. I'm
look
not
at
even
this.
gonna lie to you. I want Brisk
This was
Saber
it.
back so bad.
Like, look at
Disney
this.
was like so successful in reinvigorating Star Wars. It's kind of crazy.
I know. I agree. I completely
really
agree.
is.
Star Wars at this point was look, and I'm not joking when I say it. It was Robot Chicken and it was the Family Guy specials. That was it.
I was in college. I was in college in this era, and it was like, well, that's fun. We watch Clone Wars and stuff, but the rest it's over. Besides that, you know, like it's kind of done. We're filling.
It's not
in
a
gaps
dead
here and there.
franchise.
The
It
big
was just
story's
kind of
over.
a dormant one.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was very dormant.
Okay, can I?
I was just
very
looking
dormant.
back at the cacophony of figures back here. I was trying to count how many had been created before Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
I
not that
say
many.
from where I'm sitting, I can only make out one who is pre-Disney.
I've got 2 Star Wars tattoos, and both of them are Disney era characters. It's like it's just stupid. Like so much of this conversation is going to come down to the fact that people are largely lazy about this stuff and don't want to engage with it. Again, don't like it. You don't have to like anything. No one is saying like anything, and that's a big thing that happened too. That could be another hour. Is the let us criticize things, let us compare, and it's like, well, you're not actually doing compare or contrast. You're just desperately trying to affirm your own opinion because you're afraid that if your opinion is not objectively correct, that it's no longer valid. And I'm sorry that you weren't affirmed enough as a little tyke, but that's your own fucking problem. And we could talk about it, but don't tell us, those of us that choose to engage with it, that we're reaching or that we just like everything or be patronizing the other way. It's really, really unfortunate that we get to this point again with everything, because like you'll get your favorite artist is going to drop an album or whatever it is, and you're super excited about it, or your favorite shoe line is going to have a new collection, and then you have to have people like, it's shit, it sucks, and just like in your ear because it isn't to their taste. And it's like I just imagine being that way about everything. Like, imagine that you're like, McDonald's is like, oh, the McRib is back. And you're like, where the fuck is the Shamrock Shake? Fuck the McRib. It's like,
what happened to
I wouldn't
Grimace's
hold your
birthday,
breath
you
too much
motherfucker?
because I could see that being legitimate Twitter outrage.
Well, remember, Cracker Barrel has fallen, so restaurants are not safe.
Oh, right. Hashtag Cracker Barrel has fallen.
Man, I want a
baby.
McRib so fucking bad right now.
Jared, go to Sheets and shut the fuck up, all right?
I had Sheets last night. I had Sheets last night.
Don't you send him to harass more Sheets employees?
The Sheets employee suicide rate is skyrocketing.
Dear God.
I'm just it's just so mind-blowing that we get to this point now where we're so fortunate as fans to get a new show this month coming up, and then we're getting a new show hopefully by either end of before Christmas or beginning of the next year. Then another show that's like all been so quality. I mean, they've, like, regardless of what anyone says, none of them have ever looked bad, like genuinely looked bad, like made you question if that's even good or not bad. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I just
I don't know, Scotty. The proportions on an alien, on a blue-skinned alien, weren't exactly what they looked like in a highly stylized cartoon where Christopher Lee looks like an Easter fucking Island head statue, and it kind of ruined that show and that character and the franchise.
I thought you were gonna go with the head of a character that we saw in animation being transferred to live action isn't exactly the proportions. So that entire character.
Let's just say his name.
Even
let's just say his name. That was Trey. That was Trey complaining about Trey.
Listen, do y'all remember whenever they brought they announced that Saw Gerrera was in Rogue One, and everyone was like, "Why the fuck are his eyes not that teal blue that they are in the fucking show?"
Even Hera.
Why
Hera
did you
just now had
put some context?
There was a Hera eye color thing based off of some fucking cell phone photos of the celebration. It's like, could you give them a fucking second to release a Also, like, I don't know how to break this to people. As much as I would love this to not be true, she didn't fucking exist. And neither does her entire fucking species. So, like, maybe that day, that was her eye color. And maybe you should have shut the fuck up about it. I don't like people would. I talked about this a lot over on Casually Talk when it was during Rings of Power season, because that was another thing. It ruined Lord of the Rings. Like that was another one.
So fucking good.
People
made it better.
People would have I agree. People would have a heart attack if creators now, Rian Johnson, J.J. Abrams, Filoni, any of the Star Trek people, anyone, the Ryan Condal from House of the Dragon, anyone. If any creators now acted the way Tolkien acted in his later life, and and I don't mean problematic for anyone that's wondering. I just mean, although, yeah, I just mean, British white guy from the World War eras, like, but as a writer, Tolkien
More
in
like
his
J.R.R.
appendices,
Woken.
Let him talk.
Like, people we're so mean to Jared. We all cut each other off until Jared
Shut
talks.
the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up, Jared. Tolkien would famously just add notes and appendices to his writings and do things like, actually, upon revisiting the subject of the Blue Wizards, maybe they actually came down way before the other three wizards. I don't know.
Listen, that's the most George Lucas
exactly.
shit.
I was literally going to say that.
Like Tolkien famously could not settle on how he felt about the orcs. So he would just be like, maybe it happened like this. Imagine if George Lucas, I hope this is not for a long time, but imagine if before he passed away, he just wrote down some addendums and then someone read them and it was like, actually, Tatooine is called Shalulabam.
And it's called Stupapoopulus.
Yes, Stupapoopulus, the Stupapoopulus system, and everyone has to deal with that now. Like, people would lose.
Niebuhr Gascon is actually second cousin.
Went
to
on
Watto.
a talk show.
Yeah.
Imagine if George Lucas went on a talk show.
He does have
and then just in an instant named an infamous, like a very famous character's homeworld after the talk show host.
Dude,
Magically.
Yeah. I remember Jared and I in a Q&A that we did recently, we were talking about, this is just funny. It has nothing to do with the topic. I'm sorry. But it was, I misspoke and I said when Lucasfilm bought Disney instead of the other way around. And we started talking about what if George Lucas had access to other people's shit. And we were like, yeah. So Mickey Mouse has a brother. His name's Barry Mouse, and he's a fascist. and Barry Mouse is a fascist.
The Toy Story Special Edition. See it again for the first time.
See,
they
that's
did
my
Toy
thing.
Story 1 with Toy Story 4's animation.
It's like you got like Lotso hugging Bear in Toy Story 1, like in a window or something.
Yeah, dude. Oh,
See,
fuck,
look,
let's do it.
that,
that's my
honestly.
thing
I want
too.
that now.
Before we wrap, that's my biggest thing. It's like people that can't handle that Disney or Lucasfilm is doing things differently surely couldn't handle if George was like, oh yeah, The whole sequel trilogy is all about like blood, like, you know, and going through and finding midi-chlorians and seeing what that's all about. Like,
Microbiotic.
my people would not have handled that well.
My
at
favorite type of person.
all.
My favorite type of person are the people who hate the sequel trilogy as is for all of like the buttfuck stupid reasons, and then pretend that like 80-year-old Darth Maul alongside
Darth
a
Talon.
time traveling Darth Talon
In the microbiotic
doing
world
a
of the
magic
Force.
fucking school bus with midichlorians would have been better than The Last Jedi. Like, look me in my eyes. Look me in my eyes.
Also,
and
just the
convince
fact
me
that
you
also
actually
just the
think
fact that George's
and
drafts
just don't want to
contained-
get fucking cooties from Rey's lightsaber. You fucking beta male.
It's my favorite thing.
Also, by the way, let's talk about Kira and Sam's magical adventure to find the hermit Luke Skywalker who had like closed himself off from everything on an island. And no, I'm not talking about the sequel trilogy. I'm talking about George Lucas's draft.
Oh man. Well, look, this has been an absolutely fantastic discussion. I mean, like through and through, this has been one of my favorite discussions we've had. And well, no, we're not. I'm sorry, Jerry.
Y'all are going for like a whole hour before me? Oh shit.
Almost.
No, Jerry, we're just about to get started.
Okay, good. Well, get this thing started, man. I got to go to work in the morning. Come on.
No, but seriously, this has been a very, I guess you could say, enlightening discussion in terms of how our perspectives should not be altered based on the things that come out now or later or in the past. Like, you can still enjoy the things you love without having to.
That was like that fucking Family Guy David Lynch bit.
Oh.
Where they're like, make sure you leave out a plate of hot coffee, hot black coffee for me now and in the past. Or like,
hot black coffee. Well, speaking of, let me show this real quick. I just added this together very quickly. There we go. So
is this what we were doing?
There we
Hey,
go.
you know what?
Yeah,
I'll throw myself under the bus with you. I like.
It's now a
Zack Snyder stuff too,
marginally.
Jay. It's fine.
It's a marginally better movie for Jared being in there. Marginally.
Anyway,
Jared saved the movie from being ruined.
let's bring in the wonderful Michael McCoy. Michael, can you plug your stuff real quick? Let's see.
Absolutely.
Bring 'em
You can find me on Twitter at Local First Order. You can find me on YouTube, All Remaining Systems. Via my Twitter, you can find a link to my Archive of Our Own page where you can read my Star Wars fan fiction saga, Heart of the Jedi. A
Scan that QR code.
Michael, do not look
Interconnected
at that QR
stories.
code. Do not look at that QR code.
If you
Michael.
prefer audiobook style stuff, you can also listen to my readings of them on YouTube. Scotty did that recently during a road trip and greatly enjoyed it.
Very good.
Also on my YouTube, you can find Ionized Bastards, my Star Wars RPG series featuring Jerry, Jared, Alden, and Dan Miller from Bro Axiom as they just go and adventure throughout the Star Wars galaxy and fight weirdo droid pirates. It's great.
You ever want to watch Star Wars Guardians of the Galaxy?
That's it.
Yeah.
Michael,
right
that was
there.
great. Can we get one more but less
I
horny?
can't wait for season 2 to come out and ruin it all.
Yeah.
The next person, our Roosevelt Stan, local Roosevelt Stan.
You can see Jared the Dark Jedi's Justice League on Max.
Hey, Lamau.
In this cut, it is all about how it is pronounced Racial Ghul. No, I'm kidding.
Stupid ass.
Yeah, you guys
Ratio Al Ghul.
Ratio Al Ghul. That tweet deserves to be giga viral. Ratio Al Ghul and my thing about football post-game interviews deserve to have millions of likes. No, you guys can find me over at the Nerd Academy podcast. Comic book movie news, reviews. We have a Star Wars show called Knights of the Nerd Republic. You're goddamn right. I will not stop until I have personally wiped the Phantom Menace from existence. I will let you imply whatever level of real world violence that may or may not involve. We just tomorrow we'll have a new episode out talking about the finale for Secret Invasion. We're gonna have a Star Wars news roundup episode of Knights of the Nerd Republic out soon. We are gonna have a awesome guest, Mr. Radtastic on TikTok, is gonna be coming on TNAP to talk about his pitch for a DC Cinematic Universe. I've watched his videos about it, and it's incredible, and I highly recommend you guys check that out when it comes out.
Beautiful. Wow, that was very well done. I'm gonna bring Alden in next. Alden, let's see what we got going on for you, baby.
I beat Jared in trivia 3 times, and
Nice, dude.
Scan for Alden's Venmo.
Thank you. Alden's Venmo, it's right there. If you want to scan that, if you pay me, I'll send you, I don't know, feet or something. But
he'll send you my feet.
I'll send you feet. I did not say whose
my
or in what
new
state.
favorite. My new favorite exclamation, actually, right here. Michael Sperm.
Yep, I will send them.
Well, that was what was on his
I will
QR
send them.
code. I was
That
trying to-
gets
but in all
exclaimed
actuality,
more than you think.
just head over to my podcast on Twitter, Instagram Threads, Octo Radio. I have links to the Entertainment Community Fund, the snack list supporting entertainment
Bye, Matt.
workers, and groceries to writers. It's the strike. Be very conscious of the strike. Don't listen to content creators trying to make it about them. No one gives a fuck that
Pay
you
your
are
goddamn
not making
writers.
stuff. Just
And actors.
just pay people living wages. People like starve. 87% of the Screen Actors Guild doesn't even have insurance. So don't listen to your mom and her Facebook friends when she says it's rich people. Hit us up if you need more
Love
info.
it. Our surprise guest this evening, Eli.
Disappeared with the bobbleheads for a second there.
Yeah, sit up, homeboy. You're a floating head.
You
can find me at OGFan327 everywhere, and my show at In a Galaxy Pod everywhere. And our show, Epic Conversations, which is a trivia league, which has most of the people, I think all the people on the screen have participated in it at one point, at In a Galaxy Trivia on Twitter. Yeah, I think our next match is going to be coming out towards the end of August, but I'm excited for it. It's a teams match, and yeah.
Oh, no, that's in September. I was about to start shilling for me playing against the mystery schmodown opponent of Alden's choice, which I am sweating over.
Oh yeah, Alden, that guy, or that person.
Okay, I have pronouns now, you motherfucker.
Fuck you, Jared. You're gonna lose. All right. Continue.
Anyway, let's bring in our last surprise guest. I can't thank enough for showing up as well as with Eli. M.
Hi, everybody. You can find me on Twitter at Hutsleia, HUTTSLEIA. Adults only, no minors, please. I also have a card in my bio that has links to my AO3 profile. Again, adults only. I do write porn. Lastly, you can hear me.
It was the cadence.
It was the goddamn right.
Wait. I need to say one of
Michael
the favorite
Sperm.
Jokes, one of the favorite jokes in this friend group was the day I decided that one of the Knights of Ren is just named Kerfunkafuck. And Kerfunkafuck was in part inspired by I believe you commissioned the art of Vickrell cucking Ben Solo with Rey.
Yes.
Did you? I can't remember if you commissioned the art or just shared it.
No, I commissioned it.
That got the ball rolling on me deciding that the one with a hand cannon was named Kerfunkafuck.
Amazing.
I just want the record to show, without M, there is no Kerfunkafuck.
Oh, I love that. Yay. Okay, so the last things that I had to say was to listen to me on the former Sisters of Sabers podcast. You can find them on Twitter at SabersWith, and a new name to be announced shortly. And lastly, please check out my friend Chase at That Gay Jedi YouTube channel. They are creating incredible queer content. They are a very important queer content creator. Please support them, subscribe, leave comments on their channel, and support them anyway.
They wrote an extremely they've made an extremely great video about a lot of these topics, about like when they realized they didn't like the Bad Batch as much as some people did. That video was
They expressed
fantastic,
their
and
opinion way
it's-
better than I did about the Bad Batch.
That's true.
And you don't have to agree with their opinion. Agree, disagree. It's just a fascinating dive into fandom and an expansion of what we've talked about tonight.
They're just charming out the wazoo anyway. So
yes,
go follow Chase immediately, please.
That's wonderful, and I agree. Chase is one of the best creators in our fandom. But no, this has
Also
been a very
hot.
and him, of course.
So hot. He's so
this
hot.
this
I
right
know,
here,
right?
as you can see, we discussed how it's ruined.
Hey, wait a minute.
Just but
How
no,
it ruined Jerry.
how it ruined Jerry.
How it
Jerry
ruined Jerry.
No, if you haven't,
It is what it looked like.
if you haven't followed us for whatever reason, you know you can. We're Bombadcast. I don't know why it's covering it.
Bombad.
But
Put
no,
my man
Bombad.
back in Bombad.
Bombad's in a really
Mojo
weird,
Dojo Casa Bombad. Here we go.
Bombadcast is in a really weird spot
Hey-o.
because we would wanted to do an Ahsoka show covering it, and I will play this video now. And
So we play
just-
this at the beginning of the show?
No, we'll play it again.
Well,
This stream is live during the 2023 WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes. Without the labor of the writers and actors currently on strike, the content being covered here wouldn't exist. Stay Bombad.
So with that being the case, we're probably not going to cover Ahsoka until the show is complete or until the strike is up and they get the right contracts written for these wonderful writers and actors. So we just want to prepare our viewers. It's going to get very Bombad. I haven't showed Jerry this
I was going
yet.
to say.
Hold on.
I was going to say, I haven't seen it, but I was going to say, just get ready. It's going to be some of your favorite shit coming up.
Yes,
guys.
hold on.
You love when we get weird. You love when it gets weird. So
I was just about to say, like, the one tragedy of of this whole SAG-AFTRA writer's strike, and the only thing, yes, I'm saying this is the only thing. No, I'm joking. But anyway, the number of people that would have named their after show Ashoka.
It's better that we don't do it. It's better that there are no shows.
I just need to put that out there. I just need to put that out there. I
don't want people trying to be fucking clever anymore.
Future content.
Ashoka wrote itself, okay? It wrote itself.
A future content the Bombadcast will include not just this and other things, but
oh man,
Catchphrase Junior. So we'll be
taking me
playing
right back to my
Catchphrase
college
Junior.
days.
We'll be playing Catchphrase Junior, and we'll be talking to a magic 8-ball. So that's
yeah.
Hey Scotty,
Well, honestly, we're probably going to be talking to a lot of inanimate objects coming up. So just, tune in.
If you
It'll be great.
ever, I mean, hey,
It's fucking
this
stupid.
opportunity to have Joe Organa on again.
we're talking Barbie.
Oh, funny you
week's live
mentioned
event.
that. Next week.
Next week, a great return. But we're talking Barbie. We're talking Barbie.
This is my favorite segment ever created on any show. That's hot. That's not that. Scott is the greatest.
Fantastic.
The greatest segment of all.
It's fantastic.
Listen,
Wait, Jared, cue the clip. It's sensational.
I wish I had it.
He doesn't have it.
Listen, I am going to volunteer
This is
myself
our house.
for an episode of Bombadcast to hold you guys over during the strike.
Yes.
Since it is Star Wars related by way of guest characters, I will happily whore myself out to do a full explanation of the very weird and convoluted lore of Soul Calibur.
Oh my god, you've been pitching this Soul Calibur idea for like 2 years. Just make a Soul Calibur podcast.
We're not buying it. No, I'm just
We're
playing.
not buying it.
Don't you want to talk about why Galen Merrick is fighting a samurai?
No.
We want to play Catchphrase Junior. Goddamn
Can you
it.
bring M
We
back
wanna
to the
talk
show
about
so we can like keep the
Exactly.
IQ level at least above sea level? Like so we could
We'll play our favorite game. How many things can we fit in our mouths? That's one game we used to play with Jared. Remember that game, Jared?
If I didn't have a really bad toothache, I would have put my whole fist
We'll
back
play-
in my mouth like I did in Louisiana with you.
Look,
can
I
fit
know
one
you-
Goomba.
I know you made your Chase comment, but Chase isn't watching. You don't need to put things in your mouth, Jared.
I can play Super Crew. What can you put in your mouth, Jerry? A Tamagotchi. Like what? No,
multi-tool.
Chase Hauser. Anyway.
Oh, God bless. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining this evening. As always, you know what to do, and that is to. I'm going to put someone on the spot. And that is to do what?
Stay Bombad.
Did you say impossible? Pasquale? Only kidding, Jackie. I've changed my tune because I finally thought of a possible dream that we can all share. What is it?
Pasquale?
It's a dream about a world when nobody is poor or sick or hungry.
Oh, now that's a dream we can make come true.
I'm gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good. Gonna make a difference, gonna make it right. As I point up the collar on my favorite winter coat, this wind is blowing my mind.
I see the kids in the street with not enough to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their need? A summer's disregard, a broken bottle top,
and a one-man soul. They follow each other on the wind, you know, 'cause they got nowhere to go. That's why I want you to know I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways, and no message could have been any clearer.
If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change.
I'm starting with the man in the mirror.
Oh yeah,
I'm asking him to change his ways.
come on, change. No message could have been any clearer. If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. Oh yeah,
I'm asking him to change his ways.
come on, change.
No message could have been any clearer.
If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change.
Time for us to take a break, but we wouldn't dream of being gone for long. See you in a little bit.
Had a good show tonight, guys. That was fun.
Oh, that was great.
Pretty good.
That almost felt as good as beating Jared in trivia, you know?
That's pretty
It's
nice.
like-
That it almost there.
You know,
Almost there.
The fact that he was so confident that he'd win every time.
Oh, every damn time.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
It's cute. It's adorable, honestly. The way he's
It's
constantly
like a child.
constantly just like, I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna beat you. I was like playing with my 1-year-old nephew tonight, and it was just like doing trivia with
There's
Jared.
like-
No, it's-
honestly.
He was
It's
like, this is the time. This is my destiny. Taylor. Miss Taylor, I'm going to beat Scotty. Nope.
There's
Not gonna
no
happen.
way. No,
I
literally in
beat
my
this
own house.
motherfucker in. I beat him in canon. I
Uh,
beat him in Legends. I eliminated him from hyperspace.
It's
And he's
just-
still Connor Chiquiti with one eye has a better chance of beating someone in a fucking archery contest than Jared does
Yeah.
at beating any of us in Star Wars trivia. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's like Jared. It's like Jared thinks he's Thrawn, you know, but he's Admiral Mahdi. You know what I mean? It's just like
100%.
because he wouldn't know who
No,
those are because
no,
he's not good at like
come on.
Imperial names, which is even funnier because I know those very well. I know there's a Northridge too, which where they came from directionally on Hoth. So
100%, yeah.
yeah,
He's more like the pit droid whack is what
Mhm.
he is. Than that, yeah. That's exactly
It's
what
just
he
like,
is. So, yeah.
what is he gonna learn? When is he gonna change? When is he gonna make it a change? Like, it's the definition of insanity, and he's just he blows it. He blows it.
remember that one kid
not the good way.
Remember that one kid in school that would like, I'm sick again. You know, remember that kid? And you're like, you're not sick again. Like it's just there's those people that have like these like, well, if I lose, I'm gonna. It's no, it's like really. Have y'all ever been to a casino? This is bad in Louisiana. When you're in a casino and you see just that really old person, and they're just like cigarette hanging out their mouth,
Oh
and
my
like,
God.
and you're like, you
Maybe
look and
this
you're
is
like,
the time that life changes.
yeah, and you're like, you know, you see how long the ashes
That
are,
is-
and you're like, damn, like,
That's depressing.
yeah, it's depressing, and you're like, they
Very.
really think at some point standing up against these genuine giants we have on the screen right now that that they would literally pull the lever and boom, there's their chance at winning, and like they've come close. Like they've won the sub jackpot of 300, but they haven't gotten the 45,000 they've been working on that same machine since 2019. So like it's like I don't know, but this is a good stream, y'all. Thank you. I'm glad we could tolerate them for the time we had them. So
yeah, this is great.
It was
really good stuff.
Really good stuff.
Yeah, it's great. we pat ourselves on the back for having him on again.
Yeah.
That was
Oof.
great. Way to go.
Someone's got to do
I
it.
know someone's got to do it.
Yeah, sometime.